Starts number 2, fired when GE takes over the company, and number 1, hammer fights. There you go. He has a brand new program called Inside the Comedy Mind, which can be seen on Sunday nights on the Comedy Channel. Ladies and gentlemen, here he is once again, Alan King. Alan, happy holiday season, first of all.
Thank you, thank you. It's also, well, you know, Hanukkah.
Yes.
You didn't do any albums. You didn't have Jackie Mason singing Battle Hymn of the Republic or something. But it's Hanukkah, and it's also, I was born on Christmas Day.
Well, that's interesting, isn't it? It's that one kid.
Yes. The Orphan.
Yeah.
The Orphan, yes.
You know, when people started telling me about this show that you're doing on the Comedy Channel, that's where it is, right?
Right.
Comedy Channel. To me, it sounded like a great idea for a show, and one of those ideas you think to yourself, why hasn't somebody done this before?
Well, David, I've been talking about this for years. I always used to say, why didn't someone sit down and, if it was possible, sit down and talk to Charlie Chaplin?
Sure.
Or W.C. Fields, or what? Not a performance piece, but just finding out how their mind works. And, you know, and we've done 13, and from Milton Berle to Billy Crystal to Stephen Wright, you know, Carol Burnett. And I think it should, the reason I did it is because originally I wanted to do these hour interviews and give them to the Museum of Broadcasting so that, you know, in 20 or 30. Also, what I wanted to do is, after doing stand-up for 50 years, I didn't want to think I was some kind of schmuck doing this, you know? I wanted to make it important.
Yeah. Oh,
So,
I know what you're saying. Sometimes people, I do, you're right. You can get the feeling that people sort of look down on this because it's, you know, little circus guys running around.
Right. Or you got 4,000 comedians now and 4,000 comedy clubs.
Yeah.
And so it's been great fun, and I've learned an awful lot.
We're talking about, you talk to these people for a half an hour at a time, an hour at a time?
About an hour.
Yeah.
And it's, you know, as I said, it's about why and how they think. And
What have you learned?
well, I've learned, the one thing I've learned, and I know this is not going to come as a big surprise, is that every one of the comedy people I talk to love what they're doing. There's a great love. I get the feeling that they would be doing it if they weren't being paid for it. And I'm talking about very successful people.
Yeah.
And it, you know, it always starts from, most of them always start from a disturbed family. Or, you know, no, really. And the need for love and the need for attention. And I came from a family of 8 children, and it was the Depression. You know, I said I was born on Christmas Day. It wasn't a manger, but it was close. I mean, you know, we didn't have goats running around, but it was poor, and it was humble. And I think out of this, out of deprivation and out of this need, you use comedy as a weapon. Among, you know, the Jewish people, we always think of, you know, comedy and the Jewish humor. And it also comes from this. I once said to my father, who was a great wit, and I used to say to him, I said to him one day, I said, Pop, why do Jewish people talk so loud? And he said, for 2,000 years, nobody listened. So you learn to talk loud.
Yeah, sure.
And I find that there's that one theme that runs through the need for attention, or those who are so inhibited and shy.
You just want to do something that will cause people to like you or think well of you?
And attention. You know, that most of the guys and gals were school clowns. Let me turn it on you.
Yeah.
When did you know you were funny? At what age? No.
It hasn't happened yet, Alan.
No. Put aside the opening monologue. When you're on 5 nights a week, you know.
No, I know what you're saying, and I think it occurs to people. There was a time in my life when it occurred to me that I was doing something that was getting reinforced. And I don't know, I must have been like 5 or 6 years old.
You knew it.
And it registers, and you think, geez, well, let's save this and see if we can't do it a little later.
And what happened when you got your first laugh, wherever it was? Was it an uplifting? Was it like all of a sudden, bang?
Yeah, yes, it was.
To get that kind of a laugh.
Yeah, but unfortunately, in my case, I had fallen off the roof.
Well, it was your parents. It was your
sweet
parents
experience.
that were laughing. Your parents were laughing.
That's right. Yeah. Have you talked to any of these people, a man or a woman, and you came away thinking, oh man, this is trouble, or I didn't realize that, or any surprises, any negative surprises?
Well, in doing the research, I thought I knew everybody I was interviewing, but the Smothers Brothers, amazing. In going back, I found out that Tommy and it's been so long since I interviewed him. I know Tommy and Dick.
He works alone, all right?
Tom, Dick, and Harry. That was the third brother. No, Their father was a colonel in the Army. They were raised as Army brats. They went to the Pacific as children before World War II, the Pearl Harbor. Father died on a prison warship going to Japan. They were raised, they told me their mother had about 5 different husbands, you know, a stepfather every 8 minutes. Yeah. Tommy was dyslexic, and he has a hearing. And out of all this, I said, we're funny. Yeah. You know, we're funny. And Tommy said that being dyslexic, having trouble reading and in school, he found out every time he could get a laugh, that would kind of pass, you know, get everybody, you know, away from his problem.
It's amazing, the human mechanism. It's truly amazing.
But I think that comedians are a very remarkable people. I'm very proud of so many of them.
Let's do a commercial here, and we'll come back. I first became aware of you watching you on the Ed Sullivan Show. I think at that point, you were already kind of a troublemaker. You were in there talking about different things that bothered you, different things in life, and then you were getting some heat, some suits and stuff.
You know, it was live television, and I'd go on and talk about, you know, before Nader. I mean, most everybody was being breastfed when I was being sued, you know. And I just talked about the things that annoyed me. You know, I was sued by the insurance companies, you know, I don't want to mention
Why would an insurance company sue you? What was that
Well,
about?
I went on television and talked about the good hands people, and I said that they don't tell you where those hands are at. Yeah. And so that didn't sit too well. Yeah. I was sued by Eastern Airlines at that time. Captain Eddie Rickenbacker, the famous World War I ace, was chairman of the board of Eastern Airlines, and they sued me for some remarks I made. Of course, now when I see World War I pictures, I root for the Red Baron and the Kaiser. But it took them. I just told a true story about coming from Florida. A 2.5-hour trip took 9 hours. I went on live. I told a story. Everybody thought it was funny, except Easton. They sued, and it took us about 2 years to get into court. And
how much did they want from you in that suit? Or they first of all, they wanted you. Yeah, okay.
They wanted me to apologize, and being the rebel that I was before I got the arthritis and the glaucoma, I said, no, I'm not. And what happened was, you know, you can have a big mouth on television or on a nightclub stage or whatever. You go into a court of law. Yeah. You know, where Easton's got 9 lawyers. I don't mean lawyers, barristers with powdered wigs, you know, Harvard cum laude with the waistcoats with chains with human teeth hanging down, you know. And then you look at your brother Irving, this much is there, you know, with a wash and dry suit and a toothpick, and the judge is watching. But we beat him. We beat him because the judge, who was a noble, aging Scot, threw the case out, and then the newspaper said that I was getting preferential treatment because I was on television. But what happened was the judge didn't know who I was. He was really aging. And he didn't know who Ed Sullivan was. They were about the same age at the time. And what happened was he threw it out because it seemed that the judge had flown Eastern Airlines and knew what I was talking about.
Now, this was what? How many years ago?
That was in 1971.
1971. So considering, 20 years ago, roughly, considering the state of the airlines and the status of the airlines and the quality of service, doing the same kind of material now probably would go unnoticed, wouldn't it?
No, because I used to talk about losing your luggage. Now we're talking about losing life, you know. I mean, it's become even more outrageous. And, you know, the throw-up bags is not where the humor is now. It gets to a point now where you read every day that this one has been cheating on their maintenance.
Oh, yeah.
You know, it becomes, it loses its humor.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. I mean, by the way things have gone, which is badly for airlines, generally speaking, the things that you were talking about in those days is now small potatoes.
Doesn't mean anything.
Yeah,
and
exactly.
I think everything is true. Everything is charged up now. I just read while I was having the makeup, there's a story in your paper, talk about ridiculous things. The tobacco companies, they're sending 350 million cartons of cigarettes to the Russians.
Right, that's right.
Now that they're our friends, why don't they send it to Iraq? You know?
Sure, makes better sense, doesn't it?
I just figured it was time for one joke, quote, unquote.
He read that while he was getting the makeup. Let's see. What the hell are you doing, Alan? Oh, your show, Inside the Comedy Mind.
Sunday... Friday, Bonfire of the Vanities.
Oh, okay.
A film that I'm in opens.
You have a part in that?
Oh, I have a wonderful part, and I get to die in it.
Wow.
And
Things have never been better for you.
That's right.
I mean, but as far as your career goes, things are just great.
well, when I stopped becoming, you know, a producer and went back to doing stand-up, I love it.
Has to be more fun.
It's much more fun.
Good to see you.
Thank you.
Thank you
David.
very much. Better for the first half.
I'm sure I will. I'm sure I will.
We have crew is leaning on equipment all night.